Next up on Viral History, we travel back to the dim, distant past to learn more about the skills and trades of our ancestors in our new weekly segment, Ancient Artisans.
Hello folks, and here I am at the Ancient Technology Centre in Cranbourne, and this week I'm with James Dilley here, who is going to be showing me how to make a flint axe head. So James, what period are we talking about here?
So we're looking at the Neolithic here really. Flint axes appeared prior to the Neolithic in the Mesolithic, but usually people think of a flint axe as perhaps a polished, finished example, something like this, which after being flaked from a heavy, thick piece of flint and shaped into the finished article has gone through many hours working on a grindstone or a polissoir as they're sometimes known, but it will take about 60 hours to polish. But it makes a huge functional difference. It's not just for show, although it looks very beautiful and it's very tactile. As you'll see when we start working the flint, it does actually have some very functional implications about how long the axe head lasted. To start off with, rather than that large hammerstone I just showed you, we'll go with a smaller one, and you only have to work it on the sides. For these first few flakes, you're only really taking off the skin of the flint. So this area here, this is known as the cortex. It's just the contact point between the flint itself and the country rock around that.
Well, I can tell that you need some help.
Yes,
so would you like me to have a go for you?
Do. So I'll show you a couple of flakes to start off with, just to give you an idea of what we're aiming to do. You saw me take that one off. You don't need a lot of power, as I said, just aim for the edges. And you can always just use your forearm just to get some flakes off. It's not a test of power. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll give you this piece of leather for the hand that you're holding the flint. It's just so you don't get any flakes that stick in your hand. So just relax and just let the weight of the stone do the work.
Yeah.
That's it. Just aim for the edge.
Okay.
Don't be scared of it. There you go.
Okay, okay.
And that's a good flake.
Stronger than I thought.
Yeah, it's not a test of strength at all. You don't have to be He-Man to do this. You just need relatively good hand-eye coordination.
Okay, and how long would it have taken for it to go from this, to the polished implement that you showed me earlier?
To make one of these polished axe head, there is a time investment, and it's very noticeable. Flint is incredibly hard. It's one of the hardest stones that we can get in this country in any great availability. It scores about 7.5 on the Mohs scale of geological hardness. The sandstone there is made up of quartz grains, and quartz is a tiny bit harder than flint, and it's that allows you to grind it. But that's had about 60 hours to grind it. It just shows you a small amount of work, which is quite intense, to a long period of time, which is just as intense but very repetitive.
Thank you so much for all of this today, James, and thank you for allowing me to have a go. And we'll see you next week, guys, for another episode of Ancient Artisans.